Indiana Hoosiers are going on the road to Notre Dame. This is a game that I feel like is a little bit overdue, Mason. I mean, we haven't seen these two teams within the same state face off against each other a whole heck of a lot. I believe it's one time ever, which I find extremely odd. Was
One
it one time,
time,
or
so
maybe
it
one
it's
time
been
recently?
twice. I heard recently. I think it was Mr. McGee, Ryan McGee, on ESPN said that they faced twice since 1958. Um, Before that, there were several games. I think the first time they played was like 1878 or something crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, two historic programs in the same state. I think it was like 20 something times they played in total, but only twice since 1958, which is incredibly surprising to me.
It to be as close as they are, it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. I think that is obviously something that has generated a whole heck of a lot of conversation. This game to me, it really comes down to the lines of scrimmage, and I hate to be I hate to be so plain Jane about it, Mason, but Indiana has had a remarkable season. Kurt Signetti coming over from James Madison brought a ton of players with him. We all know about what he's done in the transfer portal and the transformation that he's began at Indiana, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that team deserves some serious kudos. Obviously, if making the 12-team college football playoff wasn't enough kudos, I don't know what is. One of 12 teams in the country that is in a win or go home for a national championship situation. So Indiana has done a remarkable job. Kurt Signetti has done a remarkable job. Curtis Rourke is somebody that deserves mentioning, the quarterback there on that offense. But it's that Indiana offensive line facing that Notre Dame defensive line, and the opposite of that Notre Dame offensive line versus this Indiana D line. How does that matchup look? We haven't seen Indiana face off with a ton of teams that have NFL talent sprinkled all throughout the roster, right? And the one time that we've really seen it this year against Ohio State, it was ugly. Now, did Indiana's defense play bad in that game? I wouldn't say that their defense played bad. I wouldn't say that. I think that they did fine. Offense did not play well. They weren't given a ton of chances, so you have to kind of keep that in mind as well. But in no world was 200 yards total offense any good. That's not good. So the offense didn't play particularly well in that football game, but it was the special teams blunders that were the absolute just what took the knees out from under this Indiana team in that football game. It was terrible mistakes repeated over and over again that really just buried Indiana in that game. So how can Indiana avoid those types of situations, right? You're obviously going to have to play better on special teams. That's number one. But can you run the football on this front for Notre Dame? There was some games there where Howard Cross was a little banged up. He should be 100% for this one, or as close as he's going to get to it this season. Um, I, that's what I'm most interested in. That offensive line didn't look particularly great against Ohio State. Whenever they did get their chances and had the football, maybe Indiana got a little bit out of sync in that game. They got behind. They had to do some things that they didn't want to do, abandon the game plan a bit. You can say all those things, but they got whooped. And Notre Dame has the ability defensively to whoop people. So that's a big part of this game. Offensively, for both of these teams, or offensively, I should say, for Notre Dame, we all know what Notre Dame wants to do. They want to run the football. And I've seen some comments in the comment section, Indiana talking about, they're one dimensional. We're going to be able to, take away what they want to do, and our offense is more dynamic. You think that everybody else in the country hasn't seen what Notre Dame wants to do offensively? Everybody else has seen it. Everybody knows that, but taking away that element of their offense is really, really tough. It's easier said than done. Notre Dame is the type of offense where there's not a whole lot of guessing game. Now, you don't know who's going to take off and run with the football. That I'm not saying that, But you know that overall, that's what this team is looking to do. They're looking to run it, and they don't mind that you know that, and they're still going to run at you. So, can that Indiana front stand up and get stops against the run game and force Notre Dame into some obvious passing situations? Because we all know how Riley Leonard has struggled to throw the football. It's been a thing that's gone on for multiple years now. It's not new. It's not, he's got maybe a shoulder injury or something, and he's not. No, he's just not great in the passing game at this point. Um, and I don't think that the wide receiver room for Notre Dame is particularly dynamic. Maybe a step better than last year, but still not particularly dynamic, I wouldn't say. So, can Notre Dame slow this thing down? Because I don't think they're going to hit a bunch of explosive plays in the pass game. I just don't think that that's going to happen in this game for Notre Dame. So I think the path to victory here for Notre Dame is to slow this game down, limit possessions, play solid special teams and defense, and run the football and stay patient doing that. Um, Maybe you got to hit one or two big plays in this game, but again, I feel like this is going to be a lower scoring game than what the total is showing here. I think this one it comes in under 51 and a half. A lot of it's going to depend on, like I said, which Indiana team shows up on the line of scrimmage. The outlier seems to be Ohio State game. We'll see which one shows up in this situation at Touchdown Jesus. We'll all be watching there on Friday at 8 p.m. What do you think about this one, Mason?
Yeah, I mean, going back to my point in the early preview, to me, if Indiana stays on schedule and is able to move the sticks and score on most of their drives, which they've done at a pretty tremendous rate throughout the year, I think they win this game. To me, when you look at the blunder that happened at Ohio State, and I won't spend too much time on this point because I already made it earlier in the week, but the two special teams issues, as soon as, I mean, Indiana was in that game for the first drive, they're up 7-0. Defense was looking good. And then Ohio State, that they got into a 3rd and 35 and converted on 4th down, which was crazy. Got some momentum. Then they get the dropped punt and then the punt return for a touchdown, and all of a sudden they're up big, and it just seemed like they couldn't be stopped from then on. But Indiana just looked completely out of sync at that point, and you saw, like I said, the first drive you saw that they could do it against an Ohio State defense if they stayed on schedule. To me, that's the biggest question: is can Indiana stay on schedule, or if they get off schedule a little bit, can they bring it back? Because we never saw them come back against Ohio State. Notre Dame's defense has been really opportunistic, and they're turning the ball over at a really impressive rate. They've had they're ranked 5th in the country in interceptions and 20th in the country in fumbles. But then you look on the flip side, Indiana's done a great job at protecting the football. They're 10th in the country in interceptions given up and 11th in the country in fumbles given up. So to me, that's going to be really the difference in the game. At least for Indiana, if they're going to win this football game, they just need to not turn the ball over, stay on schedule, stay ahead of the sticks. And then to me, they do have the better playmaker at quarterback. I know Riley Leonard is great, as a runner. I don't really care for him as a passer. I think Curtis Rourke is kind of that guy that you want, who can hit the deep throws, who can hit a receiver in the flats and let him go. To me, the offense, because of Curtis Rourke for Indiana, is much more complete than the offense for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, however, has the best running back in this football game, and it's not even close. Jeremiah Love is an absolute stud, doesn't get the recognition he deserves. I think that he could be a factor in this game, but we've seen Indiana's defense be the number one defense in the country all season long, at least at stopping. Sorry, the number one defense against the run in the country all season long. They are first in the country, giving up 70.8 yards per game. That is extremely impressive, even considering the fact that the only real teams that they've played with the Pulse have been Ohio State and Michigan. Both of those teams pride themselves on being able to run the football, but I would say that they are falling short of expectations this season. But to me, regardless of that, I think that Indiana has a really stout or rush defense. I think you continue to see that in this football game, which kind of makes Notre Dame have a little bit of stress here, and ultimately could lead to their offense struggling a good bit. But to me, what it's going to come down to in this football game is special teams and turnovers. And I do think that Notre Dame is going to be able to get some turnovers in this football game. I'm, you know, I would be surprised if this was a clean game. I'll put it that way, Mark.
Let's look at some of the comments on the video from earlier this week. At Irish Dave 761, thank you for watching, Irish Dave. I do appreciate it. He says Indiana is a good football team. Can they win? Absolutely. Will they? No. Too much love and Price running the ball. Notre Dame pulls away late and will face Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame 38-20. I saw a video from one Notre Dame fan. Mason told us that we didn't talk about Price, so he knew immediately that we have not watched any Notre Dame all year. So he knew because we didn't say Price's name by name, and by which Notre Dame doesn't put their names on their jerseys, by the way. So I don't think they want us to know their name. But with that being said, we don't know anything because we didn't say somebody's name. This was an interesting comment right here. We'll just move on past that retarded comment that we just read, or that I was just talking about. What running QBs has IU faced? Nothing like Leonard, and I thought that was an interesting point. Um, they don't have a ton of experience facing off against a running quarterback. Somebody commented, I don't even know, Sliberdis, 1996. Yeah, thanks for watching. He says Dylan Rayola. And then the MU Hawk 1122 replied and said, wait, what? Rayola has negative 68 yards rushing this year. Leonard has 721 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns. That's where the conversation ended. You know, there's points being made there, right? How does Indiana handle this? We know what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to bring all these defenders down and leave. It's going to leave some defenders for Indiana on an island against these wide receivers. And I'm not saying I don't like, that it's a bad matchup or anything, but as an offense, that's the matchup you're looking for. You're looking for one-on-ones. And can Leonard hit some of those plays in a big game like this? We're going to find out. This is the biggest game we've ever seen Riley Leonard play in, no doubt about it. Can he hit one or two and be able to back this defense up a little bit? I think it's a fair question. Until he can do that, I think you're going to see Indiana stack the line and they're going to spy this quarterback. I think that's pretty clear until Notre Dame proves that Indiana needs to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think it is a really fair point. So it's one that I really haven't considered as far as, Indiana
That's
facing a
why we
running
like you
quarterback.
guys commenting on the videos, y'all. We learn
Yeah.
stuff from you guys. We like talking with you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you.
No, that's a great take, honestly. And I guess in this day and age in modern college football, you just expect teams to have faced running quarterbacks and good running quarterbacks with how prevalent they are in today's day and age, but apparently not in the Big Ten. That's actually a really good point, and I don't think that there are many rushing quarterbacks like Riley Leonard, first of all. But to me, I still like Indiana's defensive line in this matchup, and their front seven in this matchup. They play such sound football that I do think that they'll be able to kind of box in Riley Leonard. He's going to have to get creative, and this offense is going to have to get creative. And I think whoever wins this game is going to have to take a few shots downfield. In that case, I like Curtis Work more than Riley Leonard, if I'm honest. But you know, maybe the downfield plays or the large chunk plays, I should say, are to Mitchell Evans or Love or Price. That maybe it's a little bit more short games where they run after the catch for a decent amount. Who really knows in this one? I can't wait for this game though on Friday.
Last comment on this one that I have on here. There was a bunch of comments, so y'all feel free to go check out this video from earlier this week. Comment back at these people. You're more than welcome to do so. I won't even try to say that name there. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Indiana has a more dynamic offense, and their defense matches up well with Notre Dame's run game. And statistically, this makes 100% sense. If we were just looking at statistics, it would be a really, really good matchup for Indiana. And it very well could be. I'm not saying that it's not going to be a good matchup for Indiana. I think this ends up being a close game. But uh, this person predicts Indiana wins 21-10. That goes right along with what we were saying with the low scoring game here. Um, Indiana's going to have to match up well against the run game if they're going to have a chance in this one, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
plain and simple. I mean, you look, guys, when we did conference championship week, I don't know if y'all realize this, but pretty much just about every single team that won the rushing battle won the game. Like, other than Oregon, Penn State, that was the only outlier there. Every other conference championship game, whoever won the rushing battle won the conference championship.
Yep.
I think these first round playoff games are going to be eerily similar to that, Mason. I think whichever team can run the football better, especially in these cold weather games, right? Whichever team has got the advantage running the ball, and that's, mind you, protecting the football. Turnovers obviously could kill that, and that's kind of what happened to Penn State, to be honest with you. But who can run the ball better? I think they've got themselves a good chance to win the game, whoever does that. And I think Notre Dame's got an advantage there. So, with all that being said, let's give our final predictions on this one, and we'll kind of close this one out as we get in closer and closer to Friday. I can't wait to see this one at 8:00. Y'all let us know in the comment section, what's your prediction for this one? What do you think's going down? Some of you already have, and we do appreciate that. And hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Welcome to First and Long. I like the home team here, Mason. We already kind of. I feel like the home teams have an advantage here in this situation, no doubt about it. College football home field advantage is different than NFL and a lot of other sports in general. And I think that it's going to go a long way. Now, Indiana fans don't have far to travel to get to this game, but you know how much I'm sure these tickets are through the roof. They got to be. Notre Dame fans, are diehard, right? And they're in the playoff, and they're going to want these tickets, and it's going to be a really, really, really good environment there. I assume it's going to be very cold. Give me Notre Dame though. Give me Notre Dame in this one. As far as like betting purposes, I feel like a lot of these games are going to be close. So I wouldn't be upset with anybody taking Indiana +7 in this one, and thinking that it could be a 3-point game. But the more obvious play to me is the under. I think this is a really low scoring football game, and I think Notre Dame can win it. I think I'm leaning Notre Dame -7, but definitely taking Notre Dame straight up in this one, and definitely going to consider placing a bet on the under. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much completely with you here. Like I said earlier, I think this game comes down um, to turnovers really, and I think that Notre Dame has done a better job of getting those turnovers. Indiana's been a little bit better at protecting the football, but I like Notre Dame's ability to go out and create turnovers. And if you're going to compare a defense that creates turnovers versus an offense that is good at limiting the turnovers, I'll put money on the defense being able to get that done. Outside of that, I think it's I think it's a pretty even matchup as far as both offenses. I like the playmakers on defense for Notre Dame a little bit more, and that's also kind of why I'm thinking that the turnovers will have something to do with this game. I got Notre Dame winning. I'm taking there's a 7.5 out there, so I'm leaning towards Indiana plus the points. But I think for the best bet for this line right here is the under 51.5. I really think that this is going to be a defensive sort of stalemate.